All right, it's a lean week. There's not a whole hell of a lot to talk about, and rightfully so. It's the holidays. In fact, what are you doing watching me? I'll be here later. If you have important things to do, go do that. I'll wait. I'll be right here. Oh, I got to talk about toys, because I'm Robo. This here's the rewind. First up, like we've been seeing a lot lately, the ongoing reveal saga of Cryptoids, the war for the green planet. This week, we see the enemy. And we learn a little something new every time there's a drop. Turns out the Cryptoids are the good guys. Mothman, Yeti. They are fighting the forces of evil in the form of reptiles. Lizard people if you're nasty. This is the Reptoid drone, which is essentially the army builder for the bad guys, the troops that get sent out. I'm guessing, again, some things are very cryptic and being revealed very, very slowly, but oh, it's a nice slow burn. And this pretty much locks us into the style that the Yes Have Some podcast is going for here. Detailed sculpts, but there is a distinct cartoon factor. And as we've said several times, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, okay, the one head with the eyeballs and the snout and such, yeah, I almost feel like this should be an animated series. But then the other head skews just a tad more realistic. Maybe because it doesn't have the painted in eyes, everything, which would be a choice when it comes to what lizard they base the head on. Also, I realize there's no double joints here. It's a more basic articulation scheme, but it looks like they've opened up the joints enough that they'll get plenty of range. That also appears to fit the aesthetic of the line overall, character to character to character. Also, since this is all Wave 1 coming to a Kickstarter next spring, they may want to keep the part counts down for cost reasons, because each individual character is its own unique sculpt. There's not sharing parts between the figures. More cost on the overhead, maybe trying to cut that down with single hinge and swivels. There's also a throwback factor to that too, isn't there? Kind of retro-ish. This line is hitting us from all angles. There's the videos.
I blow the horn at this creature, and he looks at us like this. He turns his head.
This world is ours. Belongs to us. We are your leaders, your friends, your family. We control. We are everywhere. We feed. We are
downright creepy, giving us some backstory and some mystery. But then we see the figures, and there's a fun factor. Oh, I need to know more. Speaking of fun stylized sculpts, BigBadToyStore announced an exclusive this week for the boss fight Hellboy figure. This is labeled Big, Red, and Dark, which fits both Hellboy and BigBadToyStore. We should have saw this coming, really. Now, I have made it clear in the past that I don't care for cell shading for the most part, when it's like animated series. Okay, when it's done poorly, when it's just kind of thrown on there. When it comes to actually mimicking shadows and such from comic book art or actual real life things, then I kind of dig it. It's our 3D objects put through a 2D filter and then delivered in 3D form. Is that too many D's? Sure, it's a little heavy, especially on half the face, but it's meant to be its own thing. It's an exclusive to a store. It's not meant to be front and center of your boss fight Hellboy display. It's meant to spruce things up in other places, unless they are planning to do the rest of Wave 1 in heavy shading. I don't know, but this fits, again, both Hellboy and BigBadToyStore color scheme. So, there is that. In fact, now that I'm looking at this, I'd get the Wave 1 regular Hellboy, get the accessory pack with the trench coat, put it on there, and then have this without the trench coat because of the shading. Why cover it up with something else? That's the whole point of having this figure. Well, I say all that like this is going to be my collection. My wife is the Hellboy fan, and she's already seen these. She's like, yes, these will go on my shelves. And I'm like, can I play with them every now and then? And she said, maybe. So we'll see. And now that I think about it, the styles may differ, but Hellboy would look cool fighting the Cryptoids, you know, helping Mothman and Yeti to fight against the reptiles and such. Which brings us to the Big Bad Workshop Agents of Omega Secrets of the Serpent Temple. Again, we're playing in that pulpy realm where, you know, you have your monsters, you have your cryptids, you have Hellboy running around with his enemies, and you could have this at fighting snakes off to the side or calling for help. Whatever you want to do, they're your toys. Same time, this feels very Big Bad Workshop. I mean, yes, there may be some shared parts here, but again, they do a good job of hiding that within the paint jobs, the accessories, the overall feel of each individual line. Plus there's the snake. No, I do not believe it is articulated or bendy in any way. I think it's there. It's the snake, coiled up, mouth open. But it is a ding-dang serpent for the guy to fight while he's discovering the secrets of the Serpent Temple. We take Big Bad Workshop's other lines and add Agents of Omega to it. It feels very Action Man or early G.I. Joe coming back around. I've heard people say there's a resemblance to William Shatner too, and yeah, there is. So again, all kinds of angles. These toy lines that are multi-purpose that you can just add to any display, yeah, those are some of my favorites. Speaking of adventure, let's move into the frozen tundra with some new Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series render reveals. Last week, the team had an in-hand presentation with the upcoming Arctic Hiss Tank, which is up for pre-order right now in a limited window. But to spruce that video up, they showed off more snow-themed COBRA guys, and I'm all over them. I didn't get a regular Saw Viper. It wasn't my thing when I was a kid. I kind of remember the design, but you throw it into bright white, and I'm there. Not to mention the wolf pelt again. He can be standing next to my snow serpent in that same gear, just talking about how they used to know warmer days. And we got stationed out here in the cold, and now I'm always freezing my ass off. There's also the Drift Viper, and I guess the Night Viper went up for pre-order at some point. I forgot about it, and then I started asking, hey, is this reuse? It looks like a lot of new stuff. But you put them in Arctic gear where I can have them hanging off the side of the Arctic Hiss Tank I did pre-order. Yes, I made that decision, did I, last week? Yes, at some point. So I need more characters to put there. But that makes the snow display very COBRA heavy. So to even the odds, there's also the Arctic Steel Core Trooper, because man can't live on Snow Job alone. Sure, it's Big Ben in white, but like the other two, it tickles my brain pan just the right way. I think this was confirmed to be a 3-pack somewhere, but don't quote me on that because I've been running around getting Christmas presents and such and visiting grandkids instead of doing my hard-hitting research that I usually do. Which brings us to the monthly Medicom MAFEX offering, starting with Zack Snyder's Justice League Wonder Woman. Yes, we have had a version of this Wonder Woman before. 3, in fact. There was Dawn of Justice in 2016, her own movie in 2017, and then Justice League in 2018, which is forever ago at this point, and we all know how MAFEX was back in the 2010s. Good grief, did I just say back in the 2010s? And we know how far Medicom has come with MAFEX since then, so why not throw another one out there? At first I thought, well, they can pick and choose some of the sculpted parts from those original figures, add some new parts, and then of course fix the skin tone, which was one of the biggies back then. But looking closer, I believe this is an all-new sculpt. Yes, very similar to the previous figures, just like her costume was very similar to previous costumes in the movies. But here, there is some battle damage. There's scrapes and scratches and dings and dents all over. Not super heavy, just kind of line work. I don't even remember that being a thing in the movies. I saw Snyder's Justice League once, but even then, it was kind of like, okay, she looked like in the other movies. But you got to admit, this figure does look better than the older MAFEX figures, especially in the head and the face paints and the sculpt to all that above. So yes, if you're a super fan of the Snyderverse, then here's this. Me, I'm still waiting for the comic book version they showed in prototype form at one of their shows earlier this year. We're eating good when it comes to Deadpool and Wolverine variants though. Hasbro showed their Marvel Legends brown suit Wolverine just last week, so of course Medicom has to come along and go, hey, here's ours with just a bit extra. But of course, price-wise, MAFEX is also just a bit extra. And then just a bit extra on top of that. So it doesn't surprise me at all that they have 4 unmasked heads, and then that claw effect with the Hulk reflecting back. Okay, I don't know why I didn't think about that when Hasbro showed theirs, but that kicks ass. Sure, it wouldn't exactly reflect like that. It does look a bit odd, but at the same time, that's what it looked like in the movie, that's what it looked like in the comics, and that's what we're talking about. Comic books and superhero movies. Realistic goes out the window. I will admit the face throws me off. Comparing to the movie, yes, it is very close, but I don't know if it's the lack of shadow or it is slightly off. But when I first saw it, it reminded me of Astonishing X-Men when Logan got his brain scrambled and he ran around the mansion as a small child. The other heads are great though, and you can only use one at a time on the figure, so you could take one of the extras, put it back on the Hasbro Marvel Legends version that doesn't come with an unmasked head, you know, like as he appeared in the movie. No, I'm not letting that go. Somebody did bring up that it may be a likeness rights thing, that they had no problem doing it before, but then suddenly it may be, oh, Hugh Jackman's off the table. But at the same time, of course, this may have been in development before things changed, or maybe nothing's changed and Hasbro is just like, hey, you got an unmasked head from the previous, just stick it on here. Because I do like the unmasked head on the Legends Wolverine. It looks cool. It's just, we never saw it that way. Oh, I'm just going around and around, ain't I? That's the 2 new reveals from Medicom that they usually do every single month. But a lot of the times, they're also slipping in a re-release, a reissue, or an older figure with some tweaks to it. And that's what we see with the Gamerverse Venom. My first impression seeing this was, well, okay. You've heard this, I have no connection really to Blue Venom. But after getting the Legends one, I hate to keep bringing up Hasbro, but it's hard not to do. But after getting the Gamerverse one, I really do like the blue. So when I saw this, I thought, oh, look at that with the shade work. That is amazing looking. But then I started looking closer and the shade work is just kind of sprayed willy-nilly. Well, yeah, it does follow the musculature, but it's really just a there's not a lot of fade to it. A little, but not as much as I would like. Also, while I don't have a problem with the original Venom size, a lot of people did, saying it was too small. And I can agree with that, but for some reason it works for me. But I'm not everybody. I can only speak for myself. So this won't be as big as the Gamerverse Venom should be, I think. I'm pretty sure. Because I do think this is the original figure. 1, it's a lower price point, and 2, it comes out months earlier than the other 2 offerings this month. So I'm thinking the mold's already there. They're just producing it in a different colorway with less stuff. The original came with an unmasked Eddie head and then magnet hands and feet. This doesn't come with those. And the more I look at the picture, the more I find things to talk myself out of it with. Like, they shaded around the eyes, which does look pretty nice, but then that should mean the logo gets the shading around it too. But if they did that, that would be a hell of a lot of shading because of the white line work. And it wouldn't look right if they outlined just the outside, but not between the legs. Yes, flip-flop more. I like looking at the pictures though. That counts for something. And that's all I have for this week. Like I said, short and sweet, but again, rightfully so. It's okay for companies to take time off. Hey, is it okay if we stay home this week? We don't show any new toys, but there were still new toys. As always, special thanks to the Nobots and the Nobodies, the Patreon and the channel memberships, where there's always toys to talk about. We're always in the Patreon chat looking at something. And I appreciate that because I forgot how fun chat rooms can be, you know? I've been in a few over the years, but it's been a few years since I've been in one. So does that make sense? Where am I going with this? Hopefully everybody had a fun holiday season, got to do something they wanted to do, you know, instead of having to work or the daily grind or whatever. Maybe you got some toys. That'd be cool too. I got the Marvel Legends Executioner wave. I'm gonna get into that next week or so. And then I found the new Retro Spider-Man wave at my Walmart, so I grabbed the Owl and Cardiac. I wanted an extra Owl because of the body. I have an idea for that, but I also picked up this, oh, what's the name of this? I'll probably have the name by the time this comes around in the review or play day, but I need to find a way to mount this Owl to him somehow. Big, beautiful bird. But Cardiac, I wanted an extra in case I screwballed shaving the nose off, and actually, I didn't. I think it looks pretty good, especially from the side. Now, I know there's images out there of Cardiac with a nose, but after it got pointed out to me, I realized, oh, my image of Cardiac in my head doesn't have a nose. So I had to give it a shot. You can still see kind of an outline, but he's also still a human under there, so maybe he should have a faint impression of a nose. Yeah, made me like it much better. And it was just a case of taking a Dremel bit that's not super harsh and just slowly working down. And while I was at it, I fixed the neck articulation too, since I was popping the head off and on. It being a dumbbell, I just took out some plastic and made it go further. We having a play day at the end of a rewind? The rewind was so short that I just kicked right into a play day. Hell, while we're at it, here is a comic book style Agatha Harkness. I got the head off eBay from IBMMT. It's too easy. Buy head, put on body, display. I love painting and putting kits together and such, but sometimes it's great just to, I'm a customizer. That's how I've had fun the past few days. Let me know how you've had fun, because you should be having fun. That's what this hobby's all about. Bye.